Hey guys, just hanging out, going over a deck. Don't mind the proxies. I'm just testing this deck out. I'm also building a green black stick fingers. Where's my camera? Where's my camera? Stick fingers deck. This I'm trying to build CEH. Basically wins with Mike and Trike. If you know, maybe I'll do a deck tech. But I've been having fun with old stick fingers. But I'm building this one as well, Teferi, because he's a playback to the older generals, some of the OG generals that people used to run. Also, he forces your opponents to play at sorcery speed, which makes a huge difference in today's CDH market, you can call it. He does cost 5 mana. I'll go over him in detail, and he wins and locks the games out with Knowledge Pool. I won't get into that. Also, this format, this is the way I do things. I'm old school, old man, so I like to do it this way. I know you can bring the cards up and talk about them. I'll try to do a bit of that, but I like to do things this way. Anyway, he locks the games out. You can look it up to Fairy Knowledge Pool lock. There's ways to get out of it. There's lots of people who put out information on that, so look that up if you're interested. Basically, I play in a play group that's highly competitive. We play kind of CEDH, but with a twist. We play it in partner pairs. So we play 2v2 CEDH, which is fun. And, with the abundancy of Thasa lines winning games, I thought I'd play Teferi because he forces you, like I mentioned, to play at sorcery speed. You can't win with Thasa's trigger in the stack. Thasa's trigger has to resolve before you can put anything else on the stack with Teferi in play. Now he has flash. He gives your creatures flash too, but I didn't bother. I'll just quickly talk about my layout, and then I'll talk about Teferi and what I was thinking. So 30 lands. I have a couple of shuffle lands, fetch, reliquary tower, Academy Ruins, and a high market. Also Teleria West to go get my mana rocks. Oh, that's a Jeweled Lotus. That's my proxy. I'm running proxies because I have these cards in other decks. I just want to see if it works before I finalize it. So Jewel Lotus, Chrome Mox, Liquid Metal Torque, Mox Diamond, Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, Mana Vault, Midnight Clock, Grim Monolith, Mana Crypt, Sapphire Medallion, Lotus Petal, and Thought Vessel. So what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Maybe it should be 15 rocks. I don't know. 4 tutors. Mystical Tutor, Merchant Scroll, Long Term Plans, and Fabricate, because you want to try to get to your knowledge pool. So this helps you tutor to knowledge pool. Wheel effects, there's 3 of them. That's not a real time twister, by the way. It'd be nice to have one, but who the hell can afford that these days? These are draw spells, a bunch of 1-drop draw spells, which is great for sculpting your hand. You also want to be able to, so people will say, well, why are you playing so many? You also want, when knowledge pool lock is on, you want to be able to play into the knowledge pool and out. That way you can still win, right? How are you going to win? Well, I'll win this way. Temple Bell, Mind Over Matter, and that's supposed to be a Kozilek. So again, if you don't know what that combo is, look it up. Mind Over Matter, Temple Bell, and Kozilek. Kozilek's there just to reshuffle your library so you can keep drawing. Once your opponents can't draw anymore, you win the game because they lose the game, right? High Market and Volrath Shackles, because Shackles is part of 4 non-mana rock artifacts. I'll talk about this in a bit more detail. You get Sensei's Top. I know it's a scroll spell pierce, but it's Sensei's top. Scroll Rack, Codex Shredder to regrow things. Here we go. Blue loves counterspells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 counterspells. Is that enough? maybe not. Depends on your play group. Um, 5 enchantments, not including the Mind Over Matter. Ristic Study. Uh, this is, oh geez, the fish. Oh, I can't remember at the moment. Anyways, counterbalance and search for Asconta. And then regular spells, bounce, kill. I got to get rid of this. This is not helping me. Turnabout, Sea Rift, High Tide, Reality Shift, Boomerang, Pongify, and Chain of Vapor. So I got to replace that. That's got to go. I was trying this to see if I can use my opponent's open mana, but it hasn't been working out because it's sorcery speed. So, and 3 Planeswalkers, Jace the Mind Sculptor, because apparently he's the best one. Jace Wielder of Mysteries, because this is a win effect. If I can draw without any more cards in my deck, I can win the game. And Narset for my 3 wheel effects. So you have Narset out, you wheel, your opponents don't draw any cards, or 1 card, or something like that. It's good. So this is mono blue shenanigans control. Some of you may be saying, "Oh, how do you live with yourself playing like this?" Well, when you've been at some tables that are CEDH and they just play to win as fast as they can, a little bit of blue interruption and control never hurt. It also helps you win. Let me talk about him. Let me see if I could bring him up. How about like that? Yeah. So Teferi, let's talk about him. Okay, he's 5 mana, not ideal. 3/4 body again. That's not very great. It's not bad, but it's not the best. He's a legendary creature, human wizard. If humans and wizards matter, they don't in this particular case. But you can do a wizard tribal and include him in it. He comes in at flash. You can play him at the end of the turn. So I'd like to set it up where I either playing him at the end of my so before my next turn, at the end of my opponent's turn, at the end step, flash him in, or when an opponent tries to win with some kind of combo that requires instant speed. So you wait till what's her name is on the stack. Oh jeez, Thasa. Wow, I just had a brain fart there. Anyways, you wait till Thasa's on the stack, and when the trigger's there, you flash him in. Now you can't play any spells, right? Or when she's on the stack, you don't want to play it when the ability's on the stack. As soon as she's on the stack as a cast trigger, you flash into Teferi. She comes in, trigger resolves. You can't play anything else. You can interact with Teferi. He's a creature, so he's not indestructible, but you're also running a lot of controls, so a lot of counter spells. I suggest when you're trying to resolve him that you have some protection, so you have a counter spell backup. So maybe at 6 mana, you want to cast him. He also gives your creatures flash. You can do a creature flash build with Teferi that's less competitive. That's also fun. It slows the game down because everybody has to play on their own terms. But so if you want to play a blue deck, that I have another one that's kind of like that. It's just basically creatures. So you can do a creature build with Teferi, and in blue you can draw cards, you can counter spells with creatures, you can balance permanents. There's a lot of things you can do. So you can play a really slowed down game. If you find your play group is, let's say they're not competitive, you want to slow the game down, Teferi is a great way to slow it down. And you don't have to do it where you build him with all counter spells. I know I did, but my group is very competitive and we're playing very quickly. You need to interact. And you need a good number because you want to draw those counter spells early on. But if you're not, you could just play creature spells and just say, guys, here, we're going to slow the game down. Let's not play at instant speed. End of turn plays. Just play on your turn. Again, he's 5 mana. So you need to play rocks. You don't have to play the fast rocks, the one drops, except for Soul Ring. Um, right? You limit all rocks must be 2 and above. You're still going to end up getting Teferi out fairly quickly, I would imagine. Um, but for those of you playing C EDH, I think you can get Teferi out really quickly. I believe you can set it up very quickly to have him out. Even just him, even if you didn't work your way towards the line where you're locking people out with Knowledge Pool, right? Let me just get to that. There's Knowledge Pool. You know, again, it's 6 mana. This is not... So to play Teferi and Knowledge Pool in the same turn, you would need 11 mana. Not an easy task. Not something like in CEDH, people are going to look at that and say, 11 mana is not really where you want to be in a CEDH game. Fine. But sometimes those games prolong, and that's when you go for the Knowledge Pool lock. So again, for those of you who don't know Knowledge Pool, when you cast it, it's an artifact, 6 mana, so it's big and clunky. And when it comes into play, it imprints. Well, what kind of imprint? When it enters the battlefield, each player exiles the top 3 cards of his or her library. Okay, so each player, when this comes in, top 3 cards. So those cards are kind of in exile. And then whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, they exile it, and then they, if the player does, he or she may cast another non-land card exiled with Knowledge Pool without paying its mana cost. So you cast the spell from your hand, you put it into the Knowledge Pool, and you get to cast a non-land card from within the Knowledge Pool. Now people say, well, how does it lock out? Well, Teferi only allows people to play at sorcery speed. So yeah, your first spell from your hand may have been at sorcery speed, but to play it from exile, it has to be, it's considered instant speed. So it kind of locks people out. Your opponents, that is. So if you're playing a team game like I do, it helps. Sometimes I find I can get to Knowledge Pool. It's there just because I don't think you should have this deck without that lock potentially in there. So back to, well, let me just, I'll figure out how to work this stuff one day. I'm old. I don't like technology. Come on now. Anyway, Teferi, again, each opponent can play spells only anytime he or she could play a sorcery. You want to slow the game down? This is great. You want to play a Thasa line? You better think twice. You better have interaction for Teferi. So, again, so many lines in CEDH line up with at instant speed. So you want to be able to make sure you can control that. So that's kind of where I thought about this deck. Also, I wanted to play this card, but Shackles really only goes good in a blue deck. Not to say that it doesn't go good in other dual or triple colored decks, but you want your island count to be high so that you can gain control of creatures. So let's talk about Shackles. 3 mana artifact. Okay, what does it do? For 2 mana, tap it, gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of islands you control, as long as Shackles remains tapped. And you may choose not to untap him. Taking control of people's creatures is very good sort of, I wouldn't say trick, but ability. Because you can do it on key turns. Let's be honest. Most people's commanders are creatures, and most of their commanders are required for deck synergy. So if you can gain control of that, that's fantastic. Again, power levels in creatures has risen in Magic over the years so high. You really, for me and my liking, Shackles belongs in a mono blue build to really abuse it. You could do blue-green, I guess, because green can tutor for lots of islands. I would say maybe like a Tatiova deck would like this. but you wanna play it with a high market, or maybe another sack land, right? But mono blue, it's kind of limited. The high market here is really good because you just tap it, sacrifice a creature. So I can gain control of a creature. So during combat step, or someone goes to equip a creature with an equipment, I go shackles that creature, and then if there's an interaction or someone tries to destroy the shackles, I can sacrifice that creature to high market. And I can repeatedly do this each turn, clearing the board of obstructions, you can say. And sometimes that's just valuable too, if there's a lot of creatures bothering you. But again, I wanted to bring to attention an old combo. It's 2 cards. One part of it is a land, so it's always going to be good in your deck. And a land that can sacrifice a creature is great. I enjoy those Mardu builds, the black red, where I take control of creatures with my red spells and sacrifice them to sack outlets, whether it be through creature or through an artifact or through a land. Like, again, let's face it, in Commander, most people are running a commander that's a creature. What would we say, that 90% of your opponents will have a creature commander? So being able to take control of it and sacrificing it at your leisure is really really important, and can really help you win the game sometimes. So, I mean, so I wanted to play Shackles and High Market in a deck that could answer Thasa's lines, because Thasa, it's a great line. It just wins 2 cards, 3 mana. You can't get any better than that, right? To say to you, how about I give you a win condition that's 2 cards and 3 mana? How'd you like that? Okay, fast players, let's go. So, really, I think in CEDH, that's just the go-to standard. You can't get any better than that, right? Like, you tell me a line that wins faster and more efficient than a 2 card, 3 mana combo that needs to be interacted with at instant speed, right? Because once Thasa resolves, you can go ahead and kill her. Yeah, so the triggers on the stack, I play my consult line and I win, right? Anyway, so Teferi is really good at stopping that. So he's waiting for that Thasa to come on the stack, so that he can get his rear end into the battle, right? And still, 3 points of damage a turn is a clock. It's a bit better than a beast. And think about, like, when you destroy somebody, give them a beast or a frog token. It's 3/3. That hurts after a while. But anyways, so Thasa's knowledge pool lock. It's 11 mana. It's tons of mana to try to win with. It's in the deck. You could easily just not win that way and find another line. But for now, I've left it. And that's my Teferi deck. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It helps me to think about the deck and how I've worked through it. Hopefully you guys like it. And if you like, maybe I'll do a video on the old Stick Fingers deck, and talk about how I'm making him, or trying to make him, a CEDH type style deck. And if you guys have already, I'd love to have a chat about that. But here's Teferi, guys. Build some Teferis out there, bring them back, bring some old school commanders back, and teach them what the power of some of these old school commanders can be. I think some people have forgotten. So have fun, enjoy your games. We'll talk to you guys soon. Ciao.